5 mistakes that are killing your Venus Flytrap plants. Well, I could tell you, but wouldn't you rather find out from one of England's most accomplished growers of carnivorous plants, someone who has over 100 Royal Horticultural Society Gold Medals? Yes, I thought you might.
Morning, my name's Matt Soper. I'm the owner here at Hampshire Carnivorous Plants. The 5 mistakes to avoid while growing a Venus Flytrap. Firstly, remove the flowers. They take a lot of the energy from the plant, especially if they're young, and you'll get more traps when you remove the flowers. So do that. If you see a flower coming up before it gets too long, just nip it off.
So what happens if you leave the flowers on, if you just left them and didn't do it?
With younger plants, it affects the growth and you get fewer traps and they're usually smaller. So it's best just to remove the flowers. Once the plants are bigger, you can allow them to flower, but if they're only a 3 or 4 year old plant, it's always best to remove them. Number 2, always keep the plant stood in rainwater, not tap water, rainwater. Well, you can use reverse osmosis water, but we find rainwater's best. Constantly standing in around about an inch of rainwater throughout the growing season.
Now, I've got a question for you. If you go into like a shop that sells car parts and you'll have deionized water, can you use deionized water on your carnivorous plants?
Yes, deionized water is absolutely fine. You can use deionized, that's not a problem at all. It's the tap water, it's the minerals in the tap water that upsets them. So rainwater, deionized water, reverse osmosis water are fine.
So if you purchase one of these plants, took it home, were not aware about the water issue, and you started watering it with tap water, what's likely to happen?
Well, initially nothing, and people think, well, it's fine because it's growing absolutely great. But then after about 6 weeks, they start to yellow and the leaves turn black. So it's a bit of a delayed reaction, doesn't happen straight away. And that's where people get, they think, well, it's not a problem, we can carry on using tap water, the plant's okay. 6 weeks later, as I say, you get the problem. So use rainwater from the start. Mistake number 3, don't use houseplant compost. Try and stick to a proprietary specialist compost. Normally peat and sharp sand is best. We sell a mixture on our website, Com1, which we have very good results with the plants, as you can see. So compost, make sure you use a specialist compost for these plants.
So what happens if you use a regular multi-purpose compost that someone may have at home and thinking, well, it's multi-purpose, I can use it for that. Can you use that for these?
No, because a regular multi-purpose compost usually has nitrogen incorporated in it, and that's what the plants don't want. They're growing inert peaty swamps in North and South Carolina, and they've evolved over thousands of years to get their nourishment or from flies and insects rather than from the soil, which is why they're carnivorous, because they grow in very nutrient poor soils.
So we've got lots of regulation in the UK regarding what we can put in our compost. But in the Americas, which is where these plants are originated from, how would they be growing these in the United States? Because I imagine that would be slightly different to how we would grow it here regarding compost.
As far as compost is concerned, in the States, I'd recommend moss peat for them to grow in. They do very well in that, or sphagnum moss, that works really well as well.
Yeah. And in the UK, really you need a specialist compost like you have, because the regular compost, well, they have a load of nutrients in, aren't they? And they're sort of pH balance. That's a good point. What's the pH really for?
Now the pH in this mix here is about 4.5 to 5.
That's low.
Yeah.
So do you have to? So do you have to adjust the pH in your medium before planting?
No, we just use very acidic mix from the word go. So if you use anything alkaline, it upsets them. So they're very picky. I mean, they're picky enough not to accept tap water, as you can imagine. The compost has to be right as well. They're not the easiest of plants to grow. You have to get everything right.
Well, that's why we're asking you, because we know that you know the answers. And you mentioned something else about watering earlier, about whereabouts on the plant. You were saying about watering from the base. Was that right?
Yeah, well, I would say that's mistake number 3. People tend to water them like a normal house plant and water them into the pot. You don't do that. You just water them from beneath. So if you've got a little saucer or a tray, keep that topped up all the time with about an inch of rainwater. I'll just show you here. So they're constantly in contact with water at the base, not in the top, watering from below, and always stood in water. Don't allow it to dry out between waterings. Constantly wet, always in rainwater.
That is excellent advice. Thank you.
Right, now mistake number 4, and this is one I did when I got my first Venus Flytrap, when I was 7, I think it was. Try not, I mean, it's very tempting. Please try not to trigger the traps. Each leaf will only shut twice, and you can see there's tiny trigger hairs on each lobe. And if they're triggered to close, they take about a day to open up, and usually each trap will only shut twice. So if they're all closed up, they've got nothing to eat, which is why they're open. So it's a bit like someone getting a sandwich and putting it in your mouth and taking it away again. So they want to wait and catch flies, not fingers, which are going to be removed. So please try not to trigger the traps. It's not good for the plants at all.
Now I've got a question for you. Dave said that. We're in your lovely glass house. Let's just spin around, show you what it is. We have a huge amount of carnivorous plants, but I can't hear or see any flies around here. So how on earth are you feeding this much vegetative stuff?
Yeah, we get asked that a lot, and the reason you can't hear any is because they've all been eaten.
Oh,
If we seriously, if you went into a tomato greenhouse of this size, there'd be flies buzzing around in the apexes of the glass house. In here, where we're full of carnivorous plants, anything that comes in here usually gets eaten.
so what do? Do you buy like a big bucket of maggots, let them turn to flies, just release them into the greenhouse? Or
Now, we've done that in the past, but there isn't any need. We open the roof up and the side vents, and then they catch throughout the growing season. It's surprising, if you came here in September, October, you cut some of these pitchers open and they'd be literally full of flies. It's surprising how many there are around. We've never had one die of starvation, put it that way.
That's really interesting. I love the bucket of maggots. I was just playing with that one, and then apparently it's real. So that's
Strip them in like that.
Right, mistake number 5. Don't be tempted to feed the plants with dead flies. They can't actually eat them. The trap will be triggered and closed, but they can't sense any movement. And if something's moving around, the trap will start to clamp down and release a digestive enzyme and eat that insect. If you put a dead insect in there, it's the same as a leaf falling in there or a couple of raindrops, and it won't do the plant any good, and the trap will just start to open after a couple of days. So don't feed them dead insects. If you really want to, you can put the odd live insect in, it will close and it will actually feed on them. But I find it's best just to leave them, let them catch their own.
So Matt, we had a quick chat, and you've mentioned something really quite interesting, and we also saw this in one of your display beds outside. Can you tell us a little bit about overwintering your Venus Flytraps?
Yes, I can. I'd say that would be number 6, and it's really important. When you see Venus Flytraps, they look extremely exotic. They can close and capture flies. You'd think they're from the Amazon or what have you. They only come from a small area around Wilmington in North Carolina in the States. They do need to experience cold weather. Outside, we grow them out all year round. We don't protect them. We don't bring them indoors. They stay out there all year round, and the foliage dies back. So if you're growing them indoors on a sunny windowsill, round about the end of October, November time, take it out to a conservatory, an unheated porch, a cold frame, or even outside, and then it will go to sleep. So what I mean by that is that the traps will start to die back down, then they rest, then they come back up following spring. So cold winters, warm spring and summers. An ideal position to grow all year round would be an unheated greenhouse or outside in a peat bog garden.
So with that in mind, what would be the lowest temperature that these could take if kept outside?
Outside, we've had them down to -10 centigrade.
That's
the plants out there.
very cold.
That was December a couple of years ago.
Well, that means, according to the Royal Horticultural Society's table of hardiness, that is a fully hardy plant, because -10 is considered to be fully hardy.
Yeah, it is. And we did a trial here in conjunction with the RHS a few years ago, and we grew all species and hybrids of Sarracenia outside, and that's when we went down to -10.
-10. That's really, really, thank you for that. That is great information and great practical knowledge from yourself, Matthew. Thank you. Well, there you go. Those are Matt's top 5 mistakes to avoid when it comes to growing Venus flytraps. But if you'd like to know more, you can always pop over to his website. I'll put the link for that in the description, and you can find out more about where he is, when you can visit, because he does do a lot of open days at the Hampshire Carnivorous Plant Nursery. However, if you would like us to make more videos on other carnivorous plants, because he does have quite a wide selection of them, like your picture plants, like your Sarracenia, then let us know in the comments and we'll give him a call. We'll pop down again and we'll do another video just for you. Not for you, because you are a lazy, you know what you are. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos, check out this one here. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, share, and even press that hype button. You know what to do. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.